Okay, Banggood.com sent us JJRC's new H28 with a single axis gyro stabilized camera and removable rotor arms. These are kind of nice here. It's just got a color coded description of where each arm goes. You just slap each one on. It's got a little set of clips right there to hold it in place. And it's a pretty big aircraft, so that's a pretty nice feature to have, to be able to pack it up and carry it around. It uses brushed motors. It looks like brushless motors, but they're actually pretty large brushed motors. You can adjust this camera's initial direction. If it's pointing too far down, you can literally just grab the two plastic pieces and open them up and then slide it over the gears and then close it. I found I had to do that to get it to point just slightly ahead. Here's our 2.4 gigahertz transmitter. Let's go ahead and turn it on, see how it flies. So I have 3 speed settings. I've got a slow, a medium, and a high speed. We are on high speed now. There's our top speed. We've got about 10 to 15 mile per hour winds here, and it's handling them pretty nice. It's very smooth. It's not getting bullied by the wind at all. Bring it in. Of course, it has a standard 1-button flip on it. Let's go ahead and try that out. Try that again. Not a bad flip. And if you want to get a close look at the camera, it does stabilize. See how it's stabilizing? But it only stabilizes for your forward reverse motion. And you can manually adjust it with the transmitter. But you don't get that much adjustment in it. Let's slide around and see what kind of video I can get. Got really good range here. It's got a lot of power. I did test it earlier and I took a look at the video, and it had a little bit of rolling shutter in it and wasn't the highest quality video. I'm not a big fan of the camera mount that JJRC uses, the way it attaches to the battery compartment. I tried to put some tissue in there to dampen it out a little bit, and hopefully this video will be a little smoother. See if I can do a high-speed fly through the tent here. Wasn't really that high speed.
I was gonna say.
Coming back through. Filming the baby. I'm trying to film the baby. It's handling these strong gusts really well. I'm impressed with how well this aircraft flies and how smooth it is, how much power it has. If it just had a nicer camera, that's about a 20 mile per hour gusts right there that I'm fighting. That's me flying into a 15 mile per hour wind. It's doing pretty good. The 7.2 volt battery has a standard 2-cell connector on it, so you can plug it into any standard battery charger. I like to use my E-Cube charger on this. I was able to charge it in about 10 or 15 minutes. The stock USB charger is going to take about 2 hours to charge, so I like to use a better charger, but we'll get about maybe 8 to 10 minutes worth of good flight out of it. I could probably carry a little more weight with it. I'm not a real big fan of the landing gear being so close together. I would like them to be a little further apart, because when you come in for a landing, you have to be a little careful not to fall over. Bring it in for a landing. So not the biggest fan of the landing gear, but it's alright. I'm going to press the stop video button to make sure I stop recording the video. You got your video and your photo. You can actually turn the LEDs off if you hold this button down for a second, and you can go into headless mode if you hold the speed button down for a few seconds. But altogether, I think this is a pretty nice aircraft, you know. JJRC has more aircraft on the market right now than I care to count. This is the first one I've seen with an actual single-axis gimbal there. That's pretty nice. It actually does a good job. It records to a micro SD card. There is a Wi-Fi version that'll transmit the video to your cell phone when you snap your cell phone onto the transmitter. But altogether, I think this is a pretty nice aircraft. Decent buy, a lot of power. Well, that's our first flight with the JJRC H28. And you know what? I have to say this is a really nice flying aircraft. I think it really handles itself really well. But after taking a look at some of the onboard video, I have to say it is just absolutely awful. I mean, the gimbal works really well. I like this gimbal, but every time I've ever seen one of these cameras with this round silver front and round body, it's always just been the worst quality video, and the rolling shutter on this is just absolutely unforgivable for such a nice RC aircraft. I mean, I love these detachable rotor arms. They've got a nice little T connector in there and these great little clips that help hold it in place. It's really easy to put the whole aircraft together. And when it comes to flight, it's got a lot of power, it's very smooth, it's easy to fly, it carries the weight great, it should get some really nice video, but this camera is just awful, so we're going to see what we can do about that. Let's go ahead and take this camera apart and see what's going on inside there. I don't really like that it connects to the battery compartment as well. It does have 2 screws in the side, but neither of them really seem to be holding it in very well, because you can just kind of separate it like that. And you'll see on this side, we've got the camera, nothing special there, little micro SD card slot there, little tiny lens. It looks like you can screw a new lens on there, but the way the gimbal works, it's actually basically just a servo that's attached right there, and there's a little round peg that just kind of slides up in there and holds it in place. So it's kind of just like a little friction mount. And that's your range of motion. And the aircraft, when it starts, it centers the gimbal, so you can actually pull it off that gear and slide the gimbal down a little bit if you want, and then slide it back on that gear if you want it in a different position, because you can reposition it with the transmitter by pressing up and down on this stick, but it only repositions it just a slight little bit. Up inside the gimbal, the servo that actually moves it up and down might slip up and down a little bit like this. So you might want to tighten this screw just a little bit. And that might help eliminate some of the rolling shutter, but I don't know. If you do want to upgrade the stock camera, these little cameras are actually pretty common, and there are a lot of other versions out there, some better than others, so I'm going to try this one out. Okay, so I upgraded the camera and took it outside, flew it around for about 2 or 3 minutes, and unfortunately, this motor decided to stop working. Don't know why, didn't crash it, didn't do anything wrong, it just started sputtering out and then stopped working completely. So if you want to take apart one of these motors, you've got to first unscrew the rotor and pull it off. Got to pull all the screws out from the bottom there and pull the plastic components out. Then you've got to remove this whole assembly here and unplug. This is the lights right there are actually powered by the same power strip that powers the motor. And pull this gear out. And then finally you can pull those 2 screws out on the top there and slide your motor out. But as you can see, this is not a very standardized motor there. It's got a little circuit board on the back and a plug to power the lights. At least it's got a metal tooth on it, but yeah, I'm gonna have to see if I can find a replacement for this, and then I'll try and run some power through it and see what I can do. But I don't know, it flew great at first, it was really nice and smooth. The single axis gimbal seemed really cool, but after I took a look at that video, it was just and well, I thought it was a great aircraft. I thought it was flying great. I thought it was doing great. But if after 3 or 4 flights your motor's gonna peter out, I don't know. We'll contact Banggood. We'll see if we can get a replacement motor. We appreciate you watching RC 101 with the Dallas Flyer. As always, don't forget to subscribe. Stay tuned for more.